Hi everyone, Jamie here with Sweet Pickins. Welcome to our kitchen. So it's Wednesday, that means it's Bible study, and I want to make a treat. So I have already made a loaf ahead of time, and it's actually in the fridge cooling down. It was taking a really long time to cool down. So I have it cooling because we're going to frost it, but I'm going to show you guys how to make this awesome lemon loaf cake. It is absolutely delicious. There is a lot of ingredients required, so just hang in there with me because there is a lot, but I will tell you it is completely worth it. So let's get started. So if you see everything out, it's kind of a mess already. It's because I have already baked one and I wanted to do the video for you guys. So I have my recipe, so let's get started. So the first thing you're gonna need is 3 eggs. And I've already cracked those eggs. Then you're gonna need 3/4 of a cup butter. I don't have, my recipe is kind of, it's in order, but I'm kind of a dump everything in. I'm not a two bowl kind of person, so your dry ingredients, your wet ingredients, and I kind of have them all mixed because that's just kind of how I bake and I get the best results. So I think having a separate bowl for like your dry ingredients for me is a waste, so I don't do that. So you're gonna need 3/4 cup melted butter, which I've melted this. You're gonna wanna make sure it's warm but not hot because you do not want to scramble these eggs. All right. So 3/4 of a cup melted butter. Then you're gonna need 1/2 cup of milk. Let's do 1/2 cup of milk. You can use whole milk, 2% milk, 1%, whatever you have is fine. All right, so that's 1/2 cup of milk. Then we need 1 tablespoon of lemon zest. All right, so I already zested my lemons. I needed lemon juice and lemon zest. So it's 1 tablespoon. So I've already actually measured this out. So it's 1 tablespoon of zest. And you really don't want to skip the zest part. I know it can kind of be a pain in the butt. It took me 3 lemons to get a tablespoon, which they were kind of small lemons. That's all the grocery store had. Okay, so the next thing that you are gonna wanna do is 1 3/4 cups of white sugar. So let's do 3 1/4 cups of white sugar. Okay, and I already have my mixer going just on low, just so everything can incorporate as I go. It's not really necessary. You can have it going, mix everything up, turn it off, have it going, that kind of thing if it's easier for you, but this is my quiet mixer, so I can have it going. Okay, the next thing you're gonna need is 1 1/2 teaspoons of baking powder. All right, the next thing you're gonna need is poppy seeds. So you're gonna need 1 heaping tablespoon of poppy seeds. Alrighty, then you're gonna need 1/3 cup of fresh squeezed lemon juice. So 1/3 cup. So I have some here, and I'm actually gonna use my spoon, because I don't want to spill any because we need this for the drizzle on the top too. Okay, perfect. So that's 1/3 cup fresh squeezed lemon juice. And then you'll need 1/2 cup of sour cream. Perfect. let me just rinse a spoon. Alrighty. So I think we only have one ingredient left, but I'm gonna go back over this with you guys and double check as I'm doing. So it's 3 eggs, 3/4 cup butter, melted, not hot, just warm, a 1/2 cup of milk, 1 tablespoon of lemon zest. It'll take 2 to 3 lemons to get that. You are gonna need 1 cup and 3/4 white sugar, 1½ teaspoons baking powder, a heaping tablespoon of poppy seed, 1/3 cup lemon juice, which again, that's 2 to 3 lemons. So when I'm doing the zest, I get the lemon juice from those lemons I had just zested. And then you're gonna need 1/2 cup of sour cream. So easy peasy. So the last thing we are gonna need obviously is flour. So that is 2 cups of flour. This is a brand new bag, so I haven't had the chance to put it in my mason jar yet. So I'm taking it right out. Just right out of the bag. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and turn this up, and we're gonna add our 2 cups of all-purpose flour in. Now, this is the part, it has got to get really mixed. So you can leave it on low medium, or you can actually turn it up. It's whatever you want. You just wanna make sure everything is incorporated. So I've got it on medium, a solid medium right now. Alrighty. I really like to have a nice clean workstation if at all possible. Sometimes it gets hard because there is so much to a recipe. So there is a lot to this recipe, but it is really, really yummy. Okay, let's go ahead and let this mix. I'm just gonna wipe down my counter really quick. All right, so now guys, this is a super, super important part. So I have my pan here. This is my loaf pan. I just used it for the other loaf. So I really suggest you use Crisco, but you don't have to. You can use butter. So I'm gonna go ahead and use Crisco, and I'm gonna take a paper towel and I'm gonna generously grab some out. And honestly, we'll probably need more than that. You are gonna wanna coat this pan very, very generously. Now this is just a standard size loaf pan. So we're gonna just make sure that you have it coated. There can be no places without this, and don't be skimpy. You will be happy that you did this when it's time to take out that loaf out of here. If you don't do this generously, and you don't get all the cracks and crevices, you may get a broken loaf, and you really don't want that. Okay, so just, I do all the sides. You can see the sides. Now we're gonna do the bottom. And you can do this with butter too, but you're gonna be really, really generous. When I took the last one out, it came out like a dream. So see, it is coated really, really well. Okay, but we're not gonna stop there because we want to make sure that nothing is going to stick. So then you can take your flour. So the way I do it is I take my pan and I pour some in, okay? Just have it right there. And I always do this over the sink. So my sink is right here because I wanna make sure that I don't make a humongous mess. And what I do is I just kind of roll it about. Let me show you guys this way. I just kind of roll it about and make sure everything is coated. And then I'll just dump out the excess. So look what your pan looks like. It seems excessive, but I promise it will come out like a dream. And you will be happy for that. Okay, so I'm gonna turn this up really quick. All right, it looks good to go. So let's go ahead and fill up this pan. We're gonna fill up this pan, but I like to take my spatula and just anything that's kind of just hanging out, it's usually flour. I like to get all of that incorporated. And then I like to go to the very, very bottom because sometimes when you're using a mixer, that mixer misses a little bit of flour. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're going to fill this pan. Now guys, when you're filling this pan, you're gonna be like, holy moly, that's too much. Just trust the process. This entire recipe of the loaf cake is actually going to go in here. So don't hold any back. It all will fit and it's not gonna overflow, promise. Okay, all right, I'm gonna set this right here. I'm gonna rinse off my spatula. Okay, so now I'm gonna show it to you guys. Look at this. See how full it is? It fills up basically to the top, but it's gonna be great. It's not gonna spill over. It is going to just raise up over and it is just gonna look so beautiful. Okay, 350 for an hour and 20 minutes. Now at an hour and 15, I want you to start checking it. So I have a skewer here. This is what I check mine with. You could use a knife, but then you're gonna actually get marks in it with the skewer. You never can see it because I just kind of poke it and you never will see it. So when I'm checking this at an hour and 15 minutes, I always do the middle and I will do the sides, 2 different sides. I just want to make sure it's done. The middle is what you're really paying attention to. If it comes out 100% clean, you can pull it out at an hour and 15. I have found an hour and 20 minutes is the sweet spot for this lemon loaf. So that will be what my recommendation is 350 for an hour and 20 minutes. All right, let me set that aside. And I'm going to the fridge to grab out the one I baked. Now, I put this in the fridge because it's been done for, oh gosh, about 45 minutes and it was still warm. So I wanted to put it in the fridge just to cool it down a little bit. Now, a couple of things. We're gonna make a drizzle for this. If it is 100% cooled off, cold, you're going to get something similar to a frosting drizzle. If it is warm, it is actually going to melt into your loaf. So it kind of depends on how you like it. Personally, I really like the frosting look. You kind of just drizzle it back and forth. But I have to say, I can feel this is still a tad warm, even though it has been in the fridge. It honestly takes probably a solid 2 hours to completely cool down. Now, when you put your pan in, you're gonna cook it for, like I said, an hour and 20 minutes at 350. When you pull it out, you're gonna keep it in this pan for 20 minutes. Do not take it out before then because it's gotta somewhat cool before you take it out so it doesn't break apart. And then you can take it out and put it on a cooling rack and it comes out, look at how pretty. It comes out perfect. You've got your golden brown, but not burnt looking. So, all right, so what we're gonna do is we are going to make the drizzle for this. So what you're gonna need is you're gonna need a bowl and a whisk, okay? And it is just powdered sugar and lemon juice. So it's a cup of powdered sugar. one of my mason jar was all gone, so I just hurried and opened this one up. And I barely opened it. I didn't open it enough. Okay, so 1 cup of, I just use the Great Values powdered sugar, okay? So 1 cup. All right, so here is this. So you're gonna want 1 to 2 tablespoons. So my suggestion is to start with 1. You can always put a second one in. So go ahead and take your 1 cup, put it in your bowl, okay? Take your squeezed lemon juice and just do 1 tablespoon. Just 1. Okay, and then we're gonna mix this. And be careful when you mix it because it will poof everywhere. Mix it until you feel like you've mixed all that lemon juice in. And most likely you're gonna need that 2nd tablespoon, but you don't want it to be too liquidy. So that's why I always say start with 1, get it mixed in as much as possible, and then you can go back and do your 2nd one. Okay. I had already had that measured out for the actual loaf and then this. So just get this really mixed up. And this takes a couple of minutes to really get it incorporated because this is what happens. So we just need to shake that off, get that in, and just really mix it in. A whisk is fantastic for this. However, this is what you deal with. So this lemon cake that we're making right now, that we're gonna ice, we're gonna take to Bible study, and the other one, we're gonna, I'm actually gonna be gifting. Okay, so now I'm gonna take, I've made an absolute mess. So I'm gonna take my spatula and just make sure I get all of that incorporated. And then this is how it's gonna look. Look how thick that is. That's what you want. However, you don't want any clumps. So if you see clumps, just work those few clumps out. Powdered sugar is notorious for clumping. Okay. All right, so now what we're gonna need, which I did not grab, you're gonna need a baggie. So a traditional sandwich bag and a pair of scissors. So what I like to do is take the baggie and roll it down like this, okay? I'll set it on the counter and I will just fill it up. Now, remember I talked, if you want more of like an icing, this is the consistency you're gonna want. If you want more of a drizzly liquid that goes down into your loaf pan, if you like that more, you're gonna wanna add a little more lemon juice. But this is really designed, it's really designed, honestly, to have that really nice frosting style drizzle. All right, so once you get it all out, you're gonna put it in your baggie, and then you're gonna make sure all the air is out, and you're gonna get it really tight. And I have to wash my hands, they are got powdered sugar all over them. Okay, so this is how you're gonna have it. Air is out, it's completely closed. So you are going to cut the tiniest hole. You think you need it bigger, and you don't. So we're just gonna do it small, and we'll just do a lot of drizzles. If you like that really big drizzle, you could do it a tiny bit bigger, but not by much. So, oh, here it is. So we're gonna take our loaf here, and we're going to, what I like to do is grab the one end, and I just kind of gather it. Now, could I have gotten out a piping bag? Yes. The reason why I didn't is because I use piping bags all the time is because not everybody has piping bags. So now you've made your own piping bag. So you're gonna hold it at the top and then you're gonna be able to drizzle. And I think this might be a tiny bit too small. Maybe I got it a little too small. So, all right, so now let's come back in. And then we're just gonna go back and forth. Okay, then I like to just kind of work it because it will squeeze up, and I just like to work it back down. And then just keep going. And then what I like to do is I like to keep going again. So I basically will be going back and forth until all of this is gone. And then this is gonna have a nice lemon flavor too, along with your lemon loaf. Okay, so I think I'll just do a tiny bit more on the ends. All right, so we've used pretty much all of it, so look at how that looks. So now what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna want this to sit out and let that powdered sugar harden, because it will harden up and it will be just perfect. But definitely let the air get to it for just a little bit and let it harden before you cover it. But now you've got such a beautiful treat to take, and man, it's pretty. And especially if you put it on a really pretty dish, which I'm gonna do, I'm gonna transfer it off of this simple platter and put it in a really cute dish because it will look good. Now, if you want more drizzle than this, if you want it super duper heavy and a lot of it, you will have to mix up a double batch. But if not, this is, in my opinion, I think this is plenty. So guys, that's it. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go throw the other loaf in. That's gonna cook for an hour and 20 minutes at 350, and then I'll take it out and I will repeat this process here, squeezing fresh juice. Now that is one tip I can give you on this recipe, is do not bypass fresh lemon juice and zest. Don't omit that out. And don't get the squeeze bottles that you can get at the store. Get it fresh. It really makes a humongous difference. So guys, thank you so much for joining me today in our kitchen. We appreciate you supporting our small business. We would love it if you would like and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget, you guys can also hang out and follow along on our Instagram and Facebook page. You just have to type in Sweet Pickens Reno, and that's Pickins Reno. And there's a ton of stories and lots going on over there. And then we do have a website, shopsweetpickens.com. That's where we have all our goodies. We have decorating inspirations. We have a blog on there. So definitely go check that out also. So guys, thank you again so much. We will see you on the next video.